Gear Talk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Welcome to Music Gear Talk. Discover the tech that inspires the pros and powers today's music industry.
Alrighty. We are into another Music Gear Talk radio show, powered by the mighty EnterTalk Radio Network, where you can connect to all things music. My name's Florentino Buenaventura. Don't try to say that 3 times fast. You might break your tongue. And I'm here with a cool company called Cable Porter. And the gentleman that runs that joint is Mr. Douglas Potts. Say hello, Douglas.
Hello, how are you doing, Florentino Buenaventura? I said that just once.
Yeah, don't do it 3 times, man. It'll be like Beetlejuice, brother. You don't know what's going to come up. So, Douglas is out of Dallas, Texas, where they have like the most awesome barbecue and a very distinct flavor for Mexican food. I think you guys have your own flavor. We have our own flavor here in San Diego, so it's pretty fun place to go visit if you haven't been there.
It is.
Yeah. I definitely enjoyed my time down there. I used to travel a lot for our previous life in business, and Dallas was the place we'd go. And I discovered Brazilian barbecue over there. Go figure. But
Fogo de Chao.
I think it was
Texas to Brazil.
There we go. That's the one.
Yeah.
Though I discovered Fogo de Chao here in California, over in Beverly Hills. But either one of them, I'll take either one, man. I think I should belong in Texas and be a beef eater.
What's better than sitting at your table and having them bring meat by you and asking if you want any of it? You know.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm talking about, man. So
just don't fall for the fries.
Just don't fall for the fries, right? Yeah.
That's right. Rookie mistake, right?
So, as we're talking about a lot about food, we're really here about the NAMM show. You guys are going to be at the NAMM show, and you got a really cool product to resolve some major issues that most musicians have, which is the tangling of the cable. It's such,
yes.
And I've seen people get into fights about how you're supposed to wrap a cable, man. I really, people are like, that's not how you do. In fact, I must say that there might have been one. Somebody was telling me how to wrap a cable, and I was like, don't tell me how to wrap a cable. I know how to wrap a cable. Don't talk to me like that. And so, anyway, man, you've pretty much, have a product that's going to revolutionize fights on stage.
Save lives, yeah,
exactly.
and it's still we still follow that food theme because we call it a spaghetti cable solution. So
yeah, exactly. Now you're making me hungry again, man. Dang. So Doug, what we like to do in this first segment before we jump into the product itself is kind of tell us a bit about yourself, how you got into the music industry, the passion behind wanting to create this really cool product and this company that is, looking at changing the dynamic of how you wrap cables.
Certainly. I went to the University of Miami back in the late 70s, studied audio engineering.
Okay.
And there got their music engineering program. There was the first bachelor degree program in audio engineering in the country.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they really didn't have, that was not common like it is now, where you got like 12 million kids going for the same job because they went to some school that taught them some rudimentary audio engineering. Back then, you had to learn it on the job as a journeyman or as an apprentice with a journeyman.
Yeah, you started as a janitor and worked your way up to engineer.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're Sonny Bono, you actually get a chance to record, because that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to get into where he could be an engineer, and the next thing you know, he's a recording artist. So,
lucky break.
Yeah, but that's cool, because that most people don't realize that the recording engineering was not a scholastic focus until, like I said, the 80s, really.
Yeah, it was the first of its kind, and so I went down there and studied. I'd already completed 3 years of college, so I went down there. I was on the 5.5-year program at the time, I guess, because I spent another 2.5 years down there, and studied with a guy named Bill Porter, who was one of the originators of the Nashville sound. He was an engineer for Elvis Presley for a lot of his live concerts, and he also recorded for Roy Orbison and pretty much all of CBS recordings that came out in the 50s and early 60s.
Yeah,
he was the guy. And so we had those of us early on in the program got an opportunity to study with this legend, and it was beyond just the what does this button do on a console. It was more watching him do his magic. He sat down one time. I remember one time he sat down during one of the classes, and he sat behind a console, and we had these MCI 2-inch tape machines that we ran on, and there was a tape on there, and he just starts mixing this tune. And it was just incredible to just watch this guy, how he worked. It was, a combination of what he was listening to, what he was trying to accomplish, his approach, listening to individual tracks. Which tracks did he listen to? How did he mix the drum kit? What sequence did he use when he was mixing? Was he focusing first on the rhythm section? Was it the bass before the drums? Was it the drums before the bass? So it was quite interesting to sit there and watch the guy do his magic. And
you were also thinking all these cables are all tangled up, and I got to figure out what to do about this.
Well, yeah. So he would introduce the first semester when he had a recording 101 class. He'd have all the students in the class, and he'd ask anybody know how to wrap a mic cable, and there was invariably somebody who had wrapped mic cables before, and they would jump up and run up and grab the mic cable and start wrapping it between their elbow and their hand, and the rest of the class, any student who had actually seen this before would always just chime in and indicate this was not the proper way to do it. And
that's where the fight broke out.
That's where the fight would broke out. So Bill would then show everybody how to properly wrap a cable. And actually, there was two ways. One was for the stage performance, where you do a figure eight, lay it on the stage, and do a figure eight with that. So when you walked away with that cable, it would lay flat. Yeah. It's a variation of the over-under, which was the other method that he showed us, is how to twist a cable one direction and then twist it the other direction on the next loop. So, so it was always a problem, though, because once you wrap those cables, we were recording nonstop, and we were all, a cable could be used 5 or 10 times, and it was wrapped and unwrapped every day. And there was different methods for securing the cable, but invariably, I would say easily 50% of the time we went to use that cable, even though we had wrapped it correctly. If those two ends got past one of those two ends got past the loop, you had a mess. Yeah. So it was one of those things I came across, like I said, back in the late 70s, but it wasn't something I tried to tackle until 2 years ago.
And like I said, I'm looking at the video on the website. In fact, folks, if you haven't done this already, go to www.cableporter, and that's CABLEPORTER.com, and you're going to already it'll make sense right when you go there. I mean, you won't even have to. Although I'd say look at all the different links. You don't have to go to different links. Just look at it. Go, dang, I need that, and put your credit card in. That's the way we do it around here. But seriously though, yeah. So a couple of years. What was the thorn in the side that said, I got to change this. I got to make this different.
So I worked in studios, and then I quit working in studios because I was in New York, and I got married and had a child and couldn't make a living working in the studio in New York. So I stopped doing that for quite a while. I worked off and on in the studios, but I started probably about, I want to say maybe 10, 15 years ago, got into a couple bands and had some friends who were in bands, and I would help out doing sound for the bands. And so everybody was wrapping cables, and although we never got into fights about wrapping the cables, there were several people that needed to be educated on how to correctly wrap a cable.
Let's take your life in your hands when you start going that direction. But continue,
that's right. But invariably we would end up we go to use a cable, and it became tangled.
Yeah.
And there was the one instance where one band member had wrapped the cable correctly, and when she went to use it, it became tangled, and she was very frustrated because she said, "I wrapped this cable correctly. I know it's wrapped correctly." And that was the point at which I realized, yeah, it's not just even whether or not you wrap the cable correctly, it's whether or not that cable is stored correctly and whether or not the ends of the cable can pass through the loops that you create when you wrap the cable, which is ultimately what causes the problem.
Yeah.
So it was that conversation with her that made me realize that there's got to be a simple solution to this problem that everybody's having. And I had an idea for it, but I didn't actively pursue it. It was one of those things that just kind of sat in the back of my head for a good 5, 6, 7 years. And then I saw a 3D printer ad, and I thought, hey, I have an idea, and now I have a way to make that idea.
Ah, that's a new one. We haven't heard that one yet, Hoppa, where somebody actually used a 3D printer on this thing to make it happen.
No, I don't think so.
That's cool.
I'm thinking maybe my next one is going to be a guitar, a 3D printed guitar.
I've seen those. No, it's yeah. I've seen the 3D guitars. They have usually like they're electric, but there's kind of like holes inside. So it's just kind of interesting. It's more of a artistic direction, but I've seen those.
Yeah. Well, I started using that 3D printer to create these, create what I figured was going to be a good solution. And I spent a year doing that.
How did the first one come out? What did you think of the first one?
I thought it was great. I did the first one. I thought, man, this is it. So the part of the time when I was not doing audio engineering, I was studying usability. Cognition and neuroscience. I took a totally different direction, studied psychology, and I was basically learning about human interaction with computers and devices.
And when people get into fights over how cables should be done.
Well, I think you missed an opportunity there, Doug. You could also 3D print rods to beat people for incorrectly wrapping cables in the first place.
Those come. Maybe they'll be included in people's first order. We'll include one of those.
Yeah, there we go. Comes with every cable porter comes with a
order now and get this free.
free teaching tool.
Our version of educational stick. Yeah.
That's right. I thought it was great, but then the question was, well, can people use it?
Yeah,
because you have to be able to make it so that people can use it. And so I started going through rounds and rounds of usability testing where I would have people try and wrap the cable and then capture what it is they were doing and then try and understand why they were doing it a particular way and then get their feedback as to what they would like the product to be able to do and how they would like to see it work. Oh. And so I got a lot of valuable feedback from the audio engineers who use this just as they go through the process. Well, there's a lot of things that, while I am an end user, I'm not all of the end users. So everybody always has an idea of how things should work or shouldn't work. And so they were able to provide me a lot of valuable information in redesigning this. And we went through about 50 iterations of prototypes. Very before cool. We got to one where we thought we could manufacture it.
Hey, Doug, I'm going to interrupt you here because we got that little blinking light at me and that tells me that we're going to be paying a few bills here in a few moments. So we're going to take a commercial break. This has been Music Gear Talk on the Mighty Intertalk Radio Networks. We've been talking with Douglas Potts of Cable Porter and about cable wrapping and about avoiding fights and the psychological dynamics of all that. We'll be right back in a few short minutes and stay tuned.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
Welcome to Music Gear Talk. Discover the tech that inspires the pros and powers today's music industry.
We are back with Music Gear Talk at Intertalk Radio. Connect to all things music. My name is Florentino, and we have Doug Potts here from Cable Porter. But before we jump back into everything, I just want to let everybody know that we have a great company in Pitbull Audio. If you want to get the coolest gear from the coolest people on the planet, go to Pitbull Audio. Calvin and Adam and the rest of the crew over there make sure that you get the right prices, the right gear, and they work with everybody, and that's a special thing, because that doesn't always happen now. It seems to be like everyone's starting to become a commodity in a lot of the other music stores. I'm not going to name any names, but I think music's always been about the personalization of everything. So with that said, we also have our friends at SIR at SIR-USA.com. They provide all the backline support. They also have rehearsal rooms, and it's where the biggest artists go for their all their audio and musical instrument needs. So make sure, if you are going on tour, that you give a call to SIR. And of course, we've got our Cable Porter. That is the is the featured product on our show today. And we are talking with Doug Potts, as I mentioned. Doug, we were talking just a few minutes ago about how you were basically 3D printing everything, and we've got about 50. Was it 50 iterations in?
Yes, 50 iterations in.
Wow. So what were some of the differences? What were you noticing in some of the previous ones that said, this is not going to work, let me try something different?
Well, most of it was basically functionality in terms of how you would put the cable into the device, whether or not they be in individual slots, or whether or not and also as well as how you would close the device. How would you secure it so that the cable would not come out?
Yeah, that's always been my biggest challenge. Is you could wrap them great all day long, but then if like you mentioned, if they were placed in the box incorrectly, next thing you know, they unravel, and you got spaghetti, and then with no sauce, and that's not any fun.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it was fine tuning everything and getting to a point that we thought we had a product that we could manufacture, and something which was easy to use, very easy to use, easy to put the cable in, and even easier to get the cable out.
Yeah.
No latches, no having to twist or tie or wrap or anything. It was all, once you're done with this product, once you're done wrapping the cable or coiling it, you're done. You don't need to be looking for anything else, which was part of what we were looking for, was a way to make it so it's fast and efficient and secures the cable well.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it right now. Like you said, once she's finished, she doesn't actually have to clamp anything, wrap anything, twist anything around something. Make sure that the bunny goes through the loop or any of that stuff, man. It's
Right.
pretty much done, and I think that is awesome. So, I mean, I think probably the biggest question on everybody's mind is, how much is it going to cost so I don't get a fight with my bandmates? Which is priceless, but there's a price point that everyone's looking for.
So on a per single item basis, they're $349 each.
Okay, and that's $3.49, folks.
$3.49.
It would be worth $349 if you had to buy it, but probably not want to spend that. $349 is great, man. That's what pretty much the cable wraps, with the Velcro. That's what they're going for, and you still don't know if you're going to be able to maintain your $100 Mogami cable very, very well.
Exactly, and the part of the value of this is not just the fact that it's easy to wrap, but it saves you time wrapping the cable and unwrapping the cable when you go to use it.
Yeah.
Because you're not spending any of your valuable time untangling a cable.
And it's right there, and then you just place it in flatly in your box, and you're good to go.
Yeah, you're good to go. And the two ends, it keeps the ends separate, from which is really the critical thing. That's the reason that a cable becomes tangled. I was at the NAMM show in Nashville in July.
Oh, wow. Did you guys have a booth?
We did, yes.
Oh, I suck. I didn't stop by. I should have. I was there too.
Oh.
I was running around with my like a chicken with my head cut off, because we do a lot of production for NAMM. So we produce we do a lot of the video and audio production for their Talking Up Music Education podcast, and then we were also run their history podcast through us. We don't do the production on that, but it's part of what we do. So and then at that particular point, I was the only one that was able to make it. So I was running around with my head.
So you were quite the busy guy.
Yeah, I was trying to get as much of the information in, and but it's a fun show. Next year we'll definitely be back, and we'll have a few of us then. So
yeah. Well, we set up the first day, and the very first guy walked up to the booth, looked at the cable porter, he looked at it, and he looked back at me, and he goes, "I get it." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I understand." He says, "That's brilliant. I understand exactly what that thing does. You didn't have to have a demonstration. You just one look at it." He says, "I get it." And I was like, wow, that's...
Did you buy one?
No, you couldn't. You can't sell them at the NAMM show individually.
I guess I should have said, did he buy
transactions? Yeah.
Well, I mean, retail, but we already talked about that. You're still selling on the site yet?
Well, that was part of our development process. Those were all prototypes. We distributed 700 prototypes to people who came by, and got feedback from them on what they thought of them. What did we need to change in order to make them better, or were they good as they were? And we did actually make modifications since the NAMM show in July.
Okay. Or like, what was one or two of the modifications that you changed up from suggestions?
So we actually beefed it up. We made it thicker so that it's sturdier, and we changed the material that was being used, glass-filled nylon. We went from actually, we made it thicker, but we went from 50% glass-filled nylon to 20% glass-filled nylon.
Okay. That's interesting. So that was going to be one of my questions for you. As I look at it, as plastic devices can have a tendency to break off and stuff like that. What would you say the durability elements of this are? And it sounds like what you did with the material is that, what's the possibility of these things just cracking?
Oh, they won't crack. They're incredibly rugged. And we offer a 5-year warranty. So if under normal use, if they have a problem with it, we'll send it back and we'll send them a new one.
Gotcha.
It's that easy. You can hit them with a hammer. They're not going to break. You can drive over them. course, your microphone cable may not be in very good shape after you drive over it, but the cable porter will survive.
It will survive. It's just like the song "I Will Survive."
Yeah.
Well, so $4, you guys buy like 1 million of these things. You say that's a great price. Everyone listening in, make sure you go. Go to, I'm going to mention the URL again: www.cableporter.com, CABLEPORTER.com, and patronize this man because he's got some cool product here. I do have a question about the name. So, is the name based on the fact of what it is, or did you actually? Is it because of your old mentor, or how'd that come into play?
It was because of what it is. We had 40 different names that we were looking at for the product. Everything from kitschy names to names which are very straightforward. But the one thing that came to my mind is when I was talking to somebody about it and I mentioned Bill Porter's name, I had said the word porter, and I thought to myself, that is what this thing does. You basically holds it and you can carry it around with you. And it just kind of made sense that when we had to make the decision, it was one of the ones that was in the mix, but we had to come down and make the final decision on it. It seemed to make a lot of sense because, we learned so much from the gentleman, and it was an opportunity to keep his name out there and associate it with a good product.
Yeah, that is definitely the case. So you got this product, you 3D printed it out. You're going to, save some lives on stage. And at this particular point, how are you finding the industry and navigating the dynamics right now? Because we obviously it's changed. Oh man, we only got 1 minute. I thought we had 3. That's how fast it goes. So we're gonna, we have to bring you back sometime here. I guess we can't quite get into that conversation. Let's give some of the other ways that people can find out about you. Social media, smoke signals, whatever, however you guys can contact. Tell us those.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our handle is @CablePorters with an S. And we use our hashtag Spaghetti Cable Solutions. And our tagline is because spaghetti is for eating.
Yes. You're making me hungry again, man. Wow. Well, Doug, hey, man, it was too short, but we just wanted to get people out to know that to check you out. What was your booth number?
1300.
1300.
In Hall E, I think it is.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm getting the countdown now. 1 second. Here we go. The music should start right now. And there it is. Yes, this has been Music Gear Talk. My name is Florentino Buenaventura. I've been here with Doug Potts of Cable Porter. Make sure you check him out. And the next show coming up in the next 30 minutes.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be the music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?